Hey everyone, Catch 'em All Collectibles here. In today's video, we are going to recap my 2025 Seattle Card Party West convention, how that went. I did not vend, I attended one day, and I did Seattle stuff the other days. That'll be in the latter half of the video. The first half of the video, I attended that was my first card party, but I've more been a frequenter of Collecticons. So I thought that I'd start the video first, little while, comparing, contrasting card parties with Collecticons. I think a lot of people, they just need to, this one is better, that one is better. I'm very much like, I'm going to sit on my fence. I'm going to say pros and cons to everything. Neither one is necessarily better than the other. This is what I liked about these ones. This is what I like about those ones. But ultimately, you'll find, and I'll get to that in my summary, it all depends on who's there. It's all the people. It's all the people. Both events are capable of being amazing times. And I would recommend, if you're on the fence, you're on, like, one thing I'm not on the fence about is going to events, going to conventions. So I will be on the fence whether declaring a winner between Card Party and Collecticon. But if you are on the fence about going to one, I will shove you off that fence. Please go, please attend. It will be a great time. But yeah, with that, let me hop over to here. And Card Party, there are 3 of them next year. There were 2 of them this year. There were 1 each, I believe, of the last 2 years. May, San Diego, California, very far from me. September, Dallas, Texas. July, Fort Lauderdale. Near to me, but very hot in July. I'm not a big fan of July, Florida. If I were to do any, I think it would be the September, Dallas, Texas. It is not planned by any stretch of the imagination. Card Party, compare, contrast, pros, cons. It's an extra day. To me, honestly, for a convention, in the past, go check out my prior Collecticon recap videos. I've vended a lot of them. It's been over a year since I've vended one, or about a year since I vended one, maybe. And I had a great time, a lot of good sales, a lot of good buys, all that stuff. I'm just kind of like past the season of vending, or past that chapter, at least for now. And Card Party, same for me. It's not something I would vend personally. Anecdotally, again, pros, cons, talking to a lot of different vendors, I heard some vendors that did really well. I heard some that did really not well. Generally speaking, I would say Card Party, the vendors don't do as well as the Collecticon. I think some people deem pros, all the panels, all the pack battling, all the different things that go on, great if you have kids that are engaging in the activities, whether or not you have kids. But if you're vending, you kind of want people, kind of like the concert that takes people into Collecticon that aren't there to buy. Well, Card Party has a lot of that stuff. They have a lot of stuff going on that takes people out of the buying scene, right? So, in generally speaking, I don't know numbers, unfortunately. I don't have data from Pat. I don't have data from the Collecticon brothers. But Collecticon gets a lot more feet through there. And I think the early card parties, there were very, very much fewer vendor tables. This one was crazy. I went to Seattle, and it had a big room, not quite the size of a Collecticon, but a massive vendor room. And then weird, disjointed from it, back corner, there was more vendor area. And some of the people in the back, I think a lot of the people that were buying didn't know there was a back, but there was also like the main stage that they had events going on there. So I don't understand fully how people didn't know it was there, but I wasn't there Friday either. So apparently a lot of people that were there Friday didn't really know it was there. But anyways, I don't really go as a buyer. I don't go as a seller. I go to hang out. I go to meet people. I go to have the dinners, have the late night discussions at the bar. And we'll get into all those festivities from Seattle later in this video. But yeah, if I do go to any of them, it would be Dallas, Texas. I thought the events were fun. I thought I watched a little bit of Family Feud one night. I think it was, yeah, Saturday night. Saturday was the only day that I went to Card Party. And I do Collecticon in the day as well. When I go for the weekend, Friday through Sunday, I'm typically picking one day to do the convention. And the other day, I'm doing sightseeing in that city, in that state. I'm doing things that are related to that geography, not related to the Collecticon or Card Party event. But overall, it was cool. Creator meet and greets, obviously, that's not really something I'm into. I'm into meeting and greeting them later at the bar, running into them at the lobby, the trade night, whatever it may be. But if that's for you, if that's for your kids, whoever, like, absolutely, that is a pro of Card Party. It is a pro or a con. It is a different thing from Card Party relative to Collecticon, where they tend to have, I don't know if I'll find them here, but they tend to have your artists and things like that. They have your voice actors, your artists, different things. A lot of the same. You'll see the partners, a lot of the partners are the same. You've got your platforms, you've got your your platforms, your grading card companies, some of your big businesses, your Graded Guard, your MetaZoo, all things like that. So a lot of overlap in who the partners are for good reason, because it's cardboard. It's all cardboard, right? And yeah, for me though, honestly, having been to several Collecticons, having been to one card party, I think generally speaking, very generally speaking, I think Collecticon is more my speed. I think yeah, they had, like, you could go around and you could collect cards from various booths. I don't have it prepared to share those all, I guess. I'm realizing I have a stack of cards on my desk that I don't have ready for this video. But they have these scavenger hunt things. You can go around, you can engage with certain booths, and you get these, like, collectible cards or whatever. Interesting, fun. My wife was engaging with that quite a bit while I was walking around and talking with all the different people. She did get to talk to some of the people I was chatting with. Shout out to Maria. Had a nice long chat with her. But yeah, we didn't get all of them, but we got several of them. I think some of them were paywalled. I'll get into it in a minute, kind of comparing, contrasting the prices between the two events, because that's one big difference as well. Again, Card Party is 3 days, and Collecticon is just 2 days. But yeah, I'm just looking through my stack of stuff from Card Party. I don't think I really have too much else to show from there. But so Card Party, one thing that Card Party does, it's $57.77 for a starter 3-day pass. I bought mine 3 weeks before Seattle, and it was like $100. So you can buy for 2026. You can buy 3-day passes today for $50 to $60. They're gonna double in the coming days. The Gold Pass, $367. I want to say the Gold Pass when I bought was $500, so that went up by like about 50%. So one thing Card Party does that I don't believe Collecticon does. Collecticon, I think the prices are just what they are. It's $44 for a single day, it's $39 for Sunday, and then $60 for both days, and $140. Maybe that is higher. Maybe $140 is higher. This is for Collecticon Houston, a very nearly upcoming one. But yeah, Card Party significantly increases their prices as they get closer. So if and when you know or think strongly that you're going to be going to one, it pays to book in advance. That's a difference between the two, I believe. But again, Collecticon, I'm not a big fan of the concerts. Nothing against any of the 90s, mostly 90s entertainers they have there. Nothing against the voice of a generation. But I'm there to check out the booths. I'm there to buy singles with my kids' cards. And overall, I would worry as a vendor. I don't think I'll ever vend one. I don't know if I'll ever vend a convention again, but I would greatly worry as a vendor how much fewer consumers go through there, how many fewer tickets are sold to Card Party versus Collecticon. And I know Pat said earlier on at some point, like, advertising a Card Party, but he said, like, he doesn't ever want it to become a Collecticon. But there's hundreds and hundreds of tables. I don't know how many it was, but shockingly, that was actually one of my initial reactions, was like, this is a lot more like a Collecticon than I ever thought it would be. They did have a couple different things going on. Activity zone, meet and greets, pack battles, things like that. But overall, it felt like, hearing other people's descriptions of what some of the earlier ones are, it felt like there was just going to be more events than there were. And to be fair, I did only go Saturday. But anyways, it was a great time. And moral of the story is, like, if you're on the fence going to any of these events, I'm going to push you off that fence. Take the leap. Go. I've made so many friendships, forged so many great relationships at these various events. One event that I haven't been to in years, let me go back full screen, because I think I'm done showing off anything that I have up here. But one thing that I like going back way back when, I went to a regional in Hartford, Connecticut in 2018, I believe it was. No, 2019 it would have been, because my son was around. He was under 1. So my first event ever was 2018 Nashville Worlds. 2019 I went to Hartford Regionals, was my second event ever. And 2019 Worlds was my third event ever, and that was Washington D.C. Worlds. And it's always the people. It's cool going and seeing, watching people play Pokemon trading card game on the World Championship stage. It's cool watching them playing Pokemon Go at the events in the big cities. I live in a very rural area, so doing the local scenic stuff. Every event that I did a little bit, a lot of the local food and touristy type stuff. And but it's always the people. It's always the people that make the event. And I cautiously say that because I've seen some people say like, hey, I don't know anyone going to X event, so I'm not going to go. Go meet new people, create new relationships. It's always easier. It is. To be fair, every event I went to, it's like when I first went to that first Worlds, I was meeting certain people there for the first. Gem Mint Pokemon was going to be there. All these people I engaged with for years on E4. All these people that I engaged with over the years on YouTube, on Instagram, wherever it may be, Discord. Meeting people for the first time. I think every event I've been to, I've met at least one new person for the first time. So in a perfect world, you'll always have a couple people to like lean on that you know are going to be there. But even if you don't know a ton of people, go meet new people. So many great people in the hobby. But I think with that, I'm going to pivot into the that was my 11-minute card party versus Collecticon. Card party good, Collecticon good, Worlds good, Regionals good. Go Pokemon, amazing. Go engage in all of it. Mintage good, modern good, PSA, CGC, BGS, all kind of crap, but also good. Go engage with people. Go be a part of the community, as they say. But with that, I'm going to go. I didn't do PowerPoint presentation really. This is gonna be standard Dan, ranty, rambly. Probably a good time to leave if you are not interested in a 45-minute recap of my vacation, essentially my business vacation. I will say. One last thing that I want to show before I do go into the long slideshow. My updated hot buy list. So I added to my buy list. It's always been there on the website, but I think a lot of people think like this is my exhaustive buy list. This is not my exhaustive buy list. Every Monday, I update my hot buy list. My hot buy list, I'm paying 80% or more, but I'm always buying everything. Used to be at 70% or more. Stay tuned for an upcoming video. I'm not going to go into it in crazy depth here, but I lowered my floor buy rates to 65%. Certain sets buying way higher quantity than I'm selling, even at 70%. So I'm lowering some sets to 65%, but everything every Monday, 85%. Sealed booster cases, booster box cases, ETB cases, they've been 85% for a long time. I get quite a few of them, and some I keep, some I flip. But yeah, I'm your easy out. You ship to me, my P.O. box, you ship to one of my streamers, wherever I have you send it, fully insured with signature tracking, and I'll pay you friends and family, Zelle, ACH, wire, or I'll pay you PayPal goods and services up front. If you don't know me, don't trust me, whatever. But I do successfully high 5 figures, low 6 figures of transactions every week via my buy list. So that is there, and always, I guess I'll do this one too. As always, if you're interested in consigning, I pay out higher than direct on all cards above 120. Here are the payout rates, 95% above $2,400. Auctions ending every week, every Sunday on Fanatics. And same payouts, ACH, Zelle, friends and family, wire. And that is fully insured. You ship to my vault with signature. It's fully insured in, and it's fully, like, once it's sold and paid, you get paid and you don't have to worry about returns, yada, yada, yada. But with that, so I went to Seattle. This past week, this past weekend, well, 2 weekends ago. I'm recording this on Sunday the 12th. You're going to see this on the 13th. I went last weekend, 8 to 10 days ago, somewhere in there. And I have my slideshow right here. Okay. So starting in Seattle, Thursday, my wife and I, we flew out of Syracuse as we do. We connected in O'Hare. We had tight connections. Both ways. And I'll talk about it once we get to it. But on the way home, that was a little scary. That was a little cutting it close. And we did make it there, though. It was a pretty boring transit, as you would hope it would be. We flew out fairly late Thursday. My wife and kids went to school. Wednesday. Fairly late Wednesday. My wife and kids went to school that day. Dropped the kids and the dog off with my parents. We went to Syracuse. Boom, on the plane. I think we parked our car 25-30 minutes before boarding in Syracuse. That's how tight we were with school ending. But Syracuse TSA pre-check, even without TSA pre-check, it is never very long. And smooth sailing the whole way. We got into Seattle about midnight, and we just went to bed. We had a long day planned for Thursday. And Thursday started out scenic drive, nice scenic drive over to the John's area, John Pokemon Radar. Shout out to him. He had a bunch of people together. But on our way, we did our first little excursion. We were doing our touristy Seattle stuff. Where's my button here? Here's my button. Okay. I didn't know how to advance my my things. I live near the Adirondacks. I live an hour south of the Adirondacks. So I'm familiar with like mountainous trees, all that good stuff, all the scenic nature type stuff. But one interesting thing, like the Adirondacks, I'm rural and I'm 40 minutes from a city. You got to go an hour north of me. There's not like cities that close, at least in any of the areas in the Adirondacks that I experience. I go to Old Forge, I go to Speculator, places like that. And it's like, it's in the woods. It's really interesting to just like be in a city and then 5 minutes outside the city, as long as you don't look back and see the skyline, like you're seeing pretty scenic, like not Adirondack, but Pacific Northwest type nature. And it was nice fresh air. And mountains are a lot taller out there. I don't remember the names of all the mountains that we saw. Mount Si, I believe, was one of them. Mount Rainier is one of them. National parks we would love to do, and I'm sure we'll be back someday to do some of the national parks. But we did get to, yeah, I don't remember which mountain this is, but a lot of nice scenic stuff. There's me driving the rental car. I got a very small rental car, but it ended up working out. Got us from A to B, did what it had to do. Twin Falls Trailhead at O'Lally State Park. Would recommend if anyone's nearby to there. That was relatively, that was within not too long of a drive to where we were meeting up later in the day. But yeah, cool hike. I think I have some pictures of the various nature things. Not very zoomed in, but yeah, big leaves there. Very, very large leaves, as you can see relative to my face. After that one, I thought we would have had a, no, yeah. So this is Snoqualmie Falls. Apparently, I didn't put a picture of the waterfall that we hiked to in this one. But this was like a nice little 1.5 mile hike. I want to say it was 1.5 miles one way. There was lower falls. There was a little bridge viewpoint that you could do, a higher viewpoint. We did 1.5 miles out, 1.5 miles back-ish, somewhere in there. We did about 3 miles overall. Would recommend. One thing that we lucked out on, Seattle, known for rain. We did not pack, I didn't pack a raincoat at least, did not pack umbrellas. I guess we would have bought one if we needed one. No rain the whole time we were there, Wednesday to Sunday, which was awesome. I think it had rained earlier Wednesday before we had gotten there. But it was very nice that we didn't hit any of the rain. So I don't think I have any pictures of this, but yeah, Snoqualmie Falls, that was cool. So the other one was like 1.5 miles in, 1.5 miles out. You could see the falls like a couple points on the way. You didn't have to go the whole way to see the falls, but to get all the way, you had to go 1.5 miles. This one was like, it's Snoqualmie is like the name of that area. Snoqualmie Falls. I think it's the name of like an Indian tribe or something. I live near the Oneida Indian Nation. I live near the Turning Stone Casino. And we'll get there. We'll get there shortly in the story. But there was a casino. There was a Snoqualmie casino, I believe it was. And we went there and we had a good time. Later this night, we will get there. But yeah, the falls were cool. You park and it's like 5 minutes walk. And it's across the little pedestrian bridge. It's right there. It's like a very short walk, a high payoff, much larger, more impressive waterfall. Much less effort to get there than the other one, I will say. The other one was a lot more effort to get there. And it was nothing like this. I don't know if you'll get, yeah, there's like a very large building and there's a very tall waterfall. So that was cool. Nice little one that we added shortly before we went to John's. And so we time travel. We time travel from this. So this is probably 1 p.m. I want to say John's get together was 1 p.m. He had barbecue catered lunch. He had, I'm not going to name everybody. I'm going to name a small handful of people that I engaged with more. I met Ern for the first time. Shout out to Ern Collects. I saw Dubsy UAP. I've seen them before, saw them again. I think the only person in that room that I met for the first time, one of Gem at Pokemon's guys that works with him, I hadn't met him before, and then Ern, but everyone else I had met before. Rusty's family was there. Charlie was there. They're probably the ones that I engage with the most. Sat with Charlie pretty much the whole time. Zach, Nick, a lot of the usual suspects were there. But I'm not going to get into that trap of naming everybody. There was a couple dozen people at least. And yeah, shout out to John for having everyone. He had like a cool little, I think Charlotte Cleticon, I showed Rusty's little museum that he had. We were meeting in what is an upcoming, I know, shout out to Radar. If you haven't seen his videos, you probably have if you watch mine. But he's opening kind of like a little store in North Bend, I believe it was, North Bend, Washington. And that's where we met up. So I kind of like walked right through. I did a speed run through his little shop thing, and we were in the back, like the play space of that future card shop. And he had cool things set up. I kind of like just got right to the people, got right to the food. I was pretty hungry after the hike. So I kind of skipped out on all of that, hung out pretty much till the end when everyone kind of broke up and went their own separate ways. And that was maybe 5 or 6 o'clock. I have a terrible concept of time. We were there for quite a while. Had some barbecue, had some donuts, hung out, just talked life, talked hobby, talked everything with everyone there. Rick Aarons was also there. Got to see him then, talk with him a little bit more the next day. But yeah, that's what went on at John's gathering. Unfortunately, I don't have any pictures from it. I'm terrible at taking pictures. Most of these I took from my wife's. We have Google Photos. We share our photos with each other. I downloaded, I want to say I have 56 photos. 49 were my wife's and 7 were mine. So that's how bad I am at taking pictures. Snoqualmie Casino. I think from this, we're going to jump right to dinner. But we went in. I tried getting Earn to come. I tried getting Retro to come. Retro was also there. And Retro, I was actually kind of bummed. Retro was one of the ones. Every time I go to an event, I always leave the event like very happy. I enjoyed my time. It's always amazing. But I'm always like, there's always a short list of people that like, man, that person in particular, I really wish I would have talked with them, engaged with them more. Thursday, Retro was that person, but coming up a dozen pictures away maybe, you'll see that I actually got quite a bit of time with him later on Friday. So that was good to get after having been within 30 feet of each other all down half the day on Thursday, and I'm not really talking much. But so the DJs who went to Snoqualmie Casino, my wife was captive because she was the DD. I was going to be drinking at the casino, and Nick and John. So the 4 of us went to the casino. My wife was captive, and she did come to dinner. She did have a good time. I think this was her salad that she had. I actually had some calamari. Was great. This is at the what I should say is going into the meal. We went to the tables first, and it was dark for John. Radar had a very, very dark time. I'm not going to use exact numbers because they're not my numbers to share, but he was down. He was down. He was down to multiple PSA 10 cards. I'm not going to declare a certain card, but like he was having a rough go at going into dinner. But one thing that we said at the tables, we sat down blackjack. Blackjack is my game of choice, and my wife like knew how to play and familiar enough with it. I know Nick's like a roulette guy. I know John can get into slots, but we ended up doing blackjack all night. And worked out well. I'll get to that. Worked out well. But we said we'll play for a while and we'll see if it's a buffet kind of night or a steakhouse kind of night. And Nick and I were having a steakhouse kind of night. Going into dinner, I was up high 3 figures. Going into dinner, again, not going to share Nick's, but Nick was up more than I was. So we were doing well. John was not doing well, but we talked him into the steakhouse dinner, and glad we did it. Wife had some kind of a salad thing here, and we had some calamari. I'm always a big fan of calamari. We had this dip, bread and dip. I think it was some kind of crab thing. I don't remember what was in the dip, but it was good. I didn't have a whole lot of the dip. I actually had a ton of the calamari and Caesar, tableside Caesar. They made it from scratch. They were putting the anchovies in there. They were making the Caesar, all that stuff from scratch. I don't think I've ever had a tableside salad made like that, but that was cool. That was good. And then I had a ribeye flight. They had a dry aged ribeye. They had a Wagyu ribeye. And then they had, I think it was just maybe like a grass fed or whatever it was. But they had 3 different ribeyes. We had truffle fries. We had the dip. We had these mushroom, whatever it was, as one of our sides. Fantastic dinner. Very glad we went with the steakhouse. I had a chimichurri with mine. Wife had béarnaise with her steak on. So this is Thursday still. Friday we went to a steakhouse again. I'll show you a picture from that one. And just tonight we had steak again at home. I made a ribeye, a big, fat, thick ribeye, and I also made a filet, both really big, thick cut. I bought the whole cut at Costco, $300-something ribeye, whole ribeye, $200 whole filet, and I cut the steaks thick, and I did it for an hour and a half at like 250 on the smoker to get it to like 125, 130 internal. Seared the outside. It was a beautiful thing. My wife asked me to make béarnaise sauce. Apparently, béarnaise is a variant of hollandaise sauce. I didn't have the shallots. I didn't have the tarragon or whatever else it needed. So I made a hollandaise sauce, and I made like not really an au jus, but anyways, I'm I'm getting hungry. I ate a lot tonight, and I'm getting hungry just seeing this food, talking about dinner tonight. But my wife did say we had 2 fantastic steakhouses in Seattle, and we've had like they're good thing about the really expensive steakhouses is that like they're really consistent. They make consistently just a really great meal. I don't think I've ever gone to a $100 a head steakhouse and had like a bad meal, bad time. But one thing I will say, the steak I had tonight at home, just as good. Different, just as good. Hickory smoked, reverse seared, medium rare, with a béarnaise, with like an au jus type deal that I made that my daughter really likes. I made that one time with prime rib, and she makes me make it every steak because she just loved it. But anyways, my wife said that my steaks were as good as the steakhouse that we had in Seattle, the ones that we go to locally, all the ones that we've been to, and I agree. Like it's hard to spend so much on steak when I can make such a mean steak at home. But that's why I got the ribeye flight. I don't make Wagyu ribeye very often, if ever. I mean, you can, but I don't make dry aged ribeye very often at home. And grass fed honestly was my least of the 3. So if anyone wants a ranking, dry aged, and then the Wagyu one, and then the grass fed one were my rankings. The chimichurri was cool. I'll have to try. It was good. I'll have to try making that sometime. Never made a chimichurri. Continuing on, as always, you get a lot of the food stuff. So later that night, I'm gonna have to stand this one for a while now. Look at the food. Hopefully you're. I don't know if it's better if you just finished lunch or dinner or are just starting it. But anyways, we went to the tables, and I don't know if John will share this story anywhere on YouTube at all, but it got to the point where I kicked some money over to John. I passed him some chips because I was doing well. Nick was doing well. John was having to buy back in, and I gave him purple chips or pink chips, whatever they are, the $500 ones. And John was doing table max 500 on his main bet, and he was doing table max 500 on the dealer bet, the sucker bet. And I'm a sucker for the sucker bets because they make the numbers move. In Pokemon, big line goes up, line goes like if things are moving in large fashions, it's just fun. Blackjack, you only pay 3-2. If you bet $100 on a hand of blackjack, the most you can possibly win is 150, right? You win 3-2. So if you bet on the side bet, you can bet $10 on the side bet and win $280 if you get 2 perfect matches with the dealer. If you have 5 of spades and 5 of spades and 5 of spades, and they flip 5 of spades, that's a 28-1 payout. But John was doing 500 on the main bet, 500 on the side bet. He was trying. He was like throwing up a Hail Mary, trying to just like get to break even, trying to make some money. And 3 hands in a row, I believe it was, his bet won. He beat the dealer in blackjack, paid 500, but his sucker bet lost every one. And John would take that chip and he'd move it to the side, and he'd take the chip and he'd move it to the side. And the 4th time, I think on the time, I think his blackjack hand won again. So he won like 4 blackjack hands in a row, which doesn't happen that often. But he had a perfect match. He had a 14-1 perfect match on a $500 bet. I'll let everyone do the math for themselves. That turned the night around for John. I had been up high 3 figures, but the way that it goes, start buying more IPAs, the drinks start flowing. I bought some. They allow you to buy the drinks with the chips. I bought one for the table. Nick bought one for the table. Maybe John bought one for the table after the big win, but we were buying him earlier on because he was having a hard night. But anyways, John hit that big, and my wife had actually been playing. So I got my wife, like, don't just sit here and watch us, like, sit down, play. And it was funny because one thing that she did, oh man, I said I was gonna bring it up and I forgot. I think she hit like a 12 against a 6. She did something very, very bad, and it was funny because when she did it, like Nick and John were doing really well. They were up a lot. We were up high 3 figures. We ended up like back to even. I thought I was down, and then I remembered. Well, John remembered a few days later. John actually Venmoed me $500 because he forgot to pay me back for one of the chips. I would have forgotten entirely, but I left thinking I had lost money. I come to realize that like I made a very small amount of money. I made like 2 digits worth of money. I made like the IPAs that we had drank that night. But anyways, my wife, she did a very terrible hit when I wasn't paying attention. When I was trying to talk with John and Nick and with my wife as well. And then I was also trying to like give her advice if and when she needed it. I told her like, if the dealer has 3 through 6, you never bust. You hit 12 again. You hit 12 against 2 and 3. So sometimes you'll bust a 12 against a dealer, but you'll never bust against a 3 through a 6. Anything. Like you just don't hit anything that could bust. You don't hit anything 12 through 16. And if the dealer has 7 and up, like you hit till 17. But anyway, she made the wrong play that time. Nick had like $1,000 on the table. Maybe it wasn't that much. Maybe it was $500. Nick had like $500 out. Yeah, it couldn't have been $1,000. But I want to say he had something that he was going to be doubling down or whatever it was. Like it was a lot of money. It was a lot of money. And it ended up that like she ended up winning. He ended up winning. It all worked out. But like one fun thing about blackjack is kind of like people watching, seeing how people play. I know like basic strategy. I know like the right way to play to minimize the amount of money you lose. And it's hilarious when you see somebody play horribly wrong and get rewarded for it. And you see people get mad because now the whole shoe's messed up. It's like the math is the math. It does change everything, but like it doesn't change anything. If people can understand what I mean there, it changes everything, but it changes nothing when somebody plays wrong. Because like how many people sit down when the dealers switch, when they cut a card. I think people know what I'm saying if they know what I'm saying. And if they don't, they never will. Anyways, that was the rest of our night. John and Nick ended up quite a ways up. I ended up $50 or $60 or something with my wife, and we went back to bed. It was about midnight. It wasn't a crazy late night. Didn't see anybody in the lobby. Thursday night, I don't think I ended up at the hotel bar. I think we pretty much just got back from the casino, and because it was about midnight. Midnight, the hotel bar closed, and then we just went on our way up to bed and got some sleep. Friday, we went out and did touristy things. Friday morning, I don't have pictures from it, but we went to GQL. Not like a place where they were printing cards or anything crazy or anything like that. It was just like the office that they had GQL at. They did have some cool like uncut sheets and got to see a couple interesting things, but I did get to see Charlie again. I got to see Charlie and I got to see Rick and then some of the MetaZoo crew, some of the GQL crew. So it was just cool. Hung out there for a while and checked out some stuff, talked to them. Talked with Rick actually a decent bit there. Talked with him about like what's going on in Pokemon and just what he thought. Like anyone who doesn't know who Rick Aarons is, he's the president of GameCube Editor Labs. And he was like a director level at Pokemon. I forget his exact title, but he was like director level at Pokemon, and just talked to him some about the craze of what's going on in Pokemon right now and how he thought it would all go. And it's funny, like I'm not going to speak on his behalf, but it like a lot of uncertainty, a lot of like could go up, could go down. And I don't have a good enough memory to directly quote him. And I wouldn't want to do that anyways, but it was just funny how, a lot of the irrational exuberance, a lot of the crazy takes that go on in Pokemon, guaranteed that no one at Pokemon even knows. Like they know more than we do. They know what they're printing. They know when the restocks are coming. They know a lot more than we do, but they still don't fully know. You ask someone who like works at Pokemon, president, anyone, they don't know. They don't know what Destined Rivals will be. They don't know what searching. They don't know any of it. Nobody on YouTube does either, I promise. But that was a cool time. I did get to see like Secret Shadows. Now it's in the spoiler season. Spoilers have been trickling out, so I got to see some of that stuff too. I honestly, I've been kind of bad. I did, if you didn't watch it, I will link it above. I made a opening 10,000 packs of base set, what the hits were. I made that video this past Saturday. I'm going to make a video again on MetaZoo in a few weeks. It'll be opening 10,000 packs of Torrential Tides. And Secret Shadows is coming out in the next 4 to 6 weeks. And I think six-ish weeks. I don't think it's as soon as 4. But November 24th, approximately, I'll be opening 10,000 packs of that too. Well, Sky will be. I'll be paying someone to open 10,000 packs of that. I'll be opening some myself. And I'll definitely make a video. So stay tuned if you want to see more MetaZoo videos. Those will come in time. But yeah, then after that, we made that quick run to GQL, spent a little while there, and then we went on to do touristy things. We hit the Space Needle. We hit the glass floors in there were pretty wild. It was really cool to be 500, 600 feet in the air and just be standing on glass. Pretty wild feeling. After that, apparently I didn't put any of the, but yeah, we spent maybe an hour there. I think we had like the apple pie topped with some ice cream at the top of the Space Needle. We walked around in there. We did the the whole glass outside thing. We walked out there, took a bunch of pictures. I thought I put some of those in there, but I guess I missed. After that, right nearby to the Space Needle, we bought like the Seattle pass with the 3 things. We did the Space Needle, the Chihuly Garden and Glass Museum, and then we did the aquarium as well. But here's a bunch of pictures my wife took at the Glass Museum. It was really cool. We watched a couple of videos on like the process by which they make these things. Pretty cool stuff. This is after the Space Needle. We went to Pike's Market. I believe I have a picture of the sign. Pike's Place Market or Pike's Market, whatever it's called. This was a recommendation by Retro. We talked to him a little bit Thursday, and he said if you're going to the market, go to Beecher's, I believe it was called. Beecher's grilled cheese, Beecher's mac and cheese. You can see through the glass, like they have an open thing, and you can see right there. You can see the cheese being made, all that stuff. Really, really good. Would recommend if anyone's in that vicinity. Pike Place Market. Yes, so it is Pike Place Market. We did walk through. I thought this was going to be the picture. The gum wall. We weren't even looking for it. I was aware it was a thing. I wasn't like seeking it out. It's not like, oh, I have to go see the gum wall. We were just walking around the market, walking like towards the aquarium down by the water, and we happened upon the gum wall. More of a gum tunnel. It's just this place where people go and stick a bunch of gum on the wall and they don't clean it off. And it's a thing. It's a thing, I guess. It's all around you for like a while. Kind of weird. But yeah, we did get our obligatory pictures in there. Had I brought gum, I mean, I'm a tall dude. I could have put one like way up in here. I don't know if you probably can't see my cursor, but I could have put one way up in there had I had one. I could have reached way above where the mass of the gum was, but unfortunately I didn't have any gum. I'm not a big gum chewer. Continuing on, we are on slide 31 of 56 now, so we are making our way through. Some of these are quicker than others. Seattle Aquarium, we'll probably have a bunch that I'm quick through. Zoos, aquariums, we like animals. My daughter, she gets in these phases where like we read the same book for like a week. My son does it too. We'll read the same book for a week straight, 2 weeks straight, and then it'll just be gone. It'll be a different book. But for a while around that time, we had been reading Finding Dory and Finding Emo. She calls it Finding Emo, not Finding Nemo. So we had to take a picture of all the emos and send it back home to my parents to show my daughter and son. So that's why the emos are there. That is how tall I am compared to a 6-gill shark with my MetaZoo shirt on. So if you were curious, that is how I size up against a 6-gill shark. From the angle, my wife is shorter. This was on a little stand too. It looks like I'm above the 6'6", but I promise you I'm not actually above 6'6". According to this, it looks like I'm like 6'7", 6'8". But that's because of shoes. That's because my wife is short. That's because I think I was on a little stand thing too. A stand that it was measured from, not like a cheating stand. Like So yeah, a little bit of an optical illusion going on that makes it look like I'm 6'7", 6'8", 6'4" 3/4. The first Starbucks that ever opened. So the original Starbucks was there. A lot of people taking pictures there. I'm not a big Starbucks guy. I did have some interesting strawberry dragon fruit lemonade type deal one of the mornings. Couple egg sandwiches that were pretty tasty one of the mornings because there was one in like the lobby area in the hotel. So yeah, I'm not a coffee guy, but Starbucks had some decent food that I had while I was there. Not this one though. The line was pretty crazy for it. So later that night, per the recommendation of Retro and with Earn, 2 guys that like I did talk with Earn a decent bit on Thursday at John's, but I didn't talk to Retro hardly at all. And he recommended like, hey, do you and your wife want to come out to dinner? And it was us, Earn, and Retro. Nice little intimate dinner, I guess, and got to talk business, got to talk everything that's going on, got to talk hobby. We went big. Per the recommendation of Retro, we hit up 2 of the scallops, we hit up 2 of the filet Diablo, whatever it was. We got the calamari. It was all fantastic. It was all really, really good. I'm more of like a ribeye guy, more of that cut, the more flavorful things. But like filet is good. It needs more help though. Like my wife eats it with the béarnaise sauce. It needs the sauce because it doesn't have as much flavor. It doesn't have as much fat. But this sauce that they put on it, this Diablo, whatever it was, a little bit of spice on the bread, like it was fantastic. Very great recommendation by Retro at El Gaucho. I got a ribeye, wife got a filet. Fantastic. Again, as always, there's her béarnaise sauce. I had Roquefort. I don't know if I'm saying that right. I had some like blue cheesy thing. It was pretty strong. I'm a big fan of blue cheese. That's one thing with steak though. I usually am not a sauce guy. If I'm eating filet, I'll eat a sauce because filet needs the help. If I'm eating a steak that's overcooked, if I'm eating a steak that's not amazing, I will, just like barbecue. It's like good barbecue sauce can hide a lot of sin in barbecue. And generally, I make, and generally steakhouses make pretty good steak. So I ate most of my steak without much of anything, but the Roquefort was really, really good too. So I had a little bit of Béarnaise, a little bit of that just to try them. Usually my wife will have a couple pieces of the filet she doesn't eat. So yeah, I'll house that in the Béarnaise. I'll house that in the Roquefort. But yeah, great steaks. You know, I had to go with that big bone-in ribeye. Wife got the nice little 6-ounce filet or whatever she went with. She's like, but when she heard Retro ordering all the appetizers, like the quantity, multiple quantity of multiple appetizers, she went with like the smallest size steak. She's like, how are you guys gonna do this? Yeah, here's the crew. I'm terrible. Anytime, like, shout out to my wife. She recommended, like, hey, you always say that, like, you don't get in the group pictures. You always say that you want someone to take a picture of the table at dinner. Mostly so I can remember everyone that was there, but also just to capture the memory. Capture the memory. Make it forever in this YouTube video, right? So yeah, Retro, Ern, my wife, myself, fantastic meal. Shout out to Retro. He actually he did not have to do this. I tried not allowing him to do this, but he insisted. So I have to give Retro the obligatory. Great guy, great business he runs. Shout out to _retrospecs. He treated dinner. Please go buy if you're looking to buy. Anyways, if you're buying it for your streams, go check out _retrospecs on Instagram. He is as trusted as they come. I've spent high 5 figures, if not 6 figures with him, and never had an issue. And if and when there were ever issues, he would definitely resolve them. So yeah, big shout out to him. Nick is a great guy. Had a great meal with him, and he's actually currently in Japan while I'm recording this. So he was really busy. That's why he couldn't really hang Thursday night, and it was nice to get to see him Friday night. Retro and Ern actually got some like tableside for 2 filet, whatever else it was. Again, I just like the more flavorful steaks. So the presentation, all that stuff was cool. We had the tableside Caesar on Thursday night. We had the tableside Retro and Ern had the tableside filet, whatever it was. They made the filet, the sauce. They did all the fancy things, all the big fire, all for the show. That was cool. Dessert, they brought this grape and cheese and cracker platter, and I don't remember what the other things are. I feel like the one that my wife picked is a very standard dessert. I feel like people will let me know in the comments below what my wife got for dessert. This one that's nearest to us with the strawberries on top. I had a bite. I'm not a big sweet tooth. It was fine. I'm sure it was very, very good for what it was. Just not my thing, generally speaking. Card party. So we talked about card party in the first 10 minutes. It took us 30 minutes to get back to card party. So naturally, I played when I was growing up. I played Sapphire. So I was Team Sapphire. When you were walking in, you got your badges. You got to choose a wristband. You could be Team Sapphire or Team Ruby. And when you went to like various tables and stuff, there were certain things you could do to score points for your team. On your wristband, there was actually things that they plucked off them. There were 2 things, one for Saturday, one for Sunday. You got to open a pack each day. Since I was only going for Saturday, I told them like, hey, I'm not going to be here tomorrow. Can I just get both my packs? They're like, yeah, sure, that's fine. So they gave me 2 packs. I got 2 hits. So I scored 2 points for Sapphire. My wife scored 1 point for Ruby. She got a hit in one of them. I don't know where the cards went. I think I pulled a Steelix and something else. Those will go in my binder. I'll have to write on the binder like, don't sell these. Don't grade and sell these because they are they're important event ones. I don't know where they went though. Somewhere in here. They're in a stack of cards somewhere. But anyways, I scored 2 points for Sapphire. I think Sapphire went on to win. I don't know for sure, though. If they did or if they didn't, if you know who won, let me know. Because I can't... Yeah, I wasn't there Sunday, so I'm not sure. But that was cool. That was cool that you could work as part of a team. I know in the past they did gold, silver. They did red, blue, I think, for the first one. So presumably they'll do something for after Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald. What were the next ones? I didn't play. But the next ones after that should have been, after the EX era, it would have been like Heart Gold, Soul Silver. So I guess you're either going to pick Team Heart Gold or Team Soul Silver next year at the events. So this was lunch. I went, we did breakfast. I think we just grabbed Starbucks. Oh yeah, and after this, so this was dinner. This was dinner on Friday night, and Friday night I actually went to the casino. Not the casino. Thursday night went to the casino. Friday night after dinner with Retro and Earn, Retro had to go back to his thing. I went to the lobby. I went to the lobby, and until midnight, the bar was open. There was a lot of people there. There were people out in the main lobby. There were people in the bar area, and yeah, again, I'm not gonna name all the names, but like a lot of cool people were there. Got to hang out with, have beers with a lot of people. Got to meet Zorner for the first time. Got to see Grimer again. Got to see Master Set Games. And got to meet for the first time Jar Chomp. And got to meet a lot of people. Which ones were Friday night? Which ones were Saturday night? I'm terrible. I have a terrible memory. I cannot tell you which ones were which. I got to meet Pokey Lawyer PNW, I believe is his Instagram handle. Got to meet a lot of I think he was Saturday night. Some people were Friday night, but separating the two, I'm terrible at. Friday night at the bar. I know this one was Friday night because I got Saturday morning before I went to card party. I left my credit card. I bought a round for a handful of people, Nick and Grimer and whoever else. I can't remember who all I bought a round for, but I bought a round and I paid with my credit card because they didn't accept cash. Normally I would pay cash at the bar, so I don't lose my credit card. But and it wasn't even a having too many IPAs thing at this point. It was just me being dumb. I signed the thing. I sent it back with my card in it, and then at the like 2 or 3 hours later, because I bought a round and some people were returning the favor with rounds, and the next time I went to buy a round, I did not have my card, and I knew exactly what I did. I'm like I left it in the thing. I asked them at the bar. They didn't know about it. Saturday morning, I went before we went to card party. I went down. Wife was getting ready. I went down to the front desk. They had a form. They were like, give me your ID. I'll go back and I'll check. They must have had a stack of them to check against. They had a form I had to sign, fill out. They had like a standard lost property returning form. So I ended up getting my card back, which was cool. But I think I had bought 2 6-pack of IPAs that I kept in my my room. And the first night, I brought down backpack beers for the lobby, waiting for people to get done with dinner and whatever else they were doing. That's right. So the first night, that's when I met Zorner for the first time. Friday night it would have been. I had a backpack full of 6 IPAs, and I met Zorner. And apologies, I forget the name of the guy that he was with, but I offered them backpack beers. I'm like, I'm camping out here waiting for people to get back. Nick and a bunch of other people went to a separate dinner. They went to a different dinner from like Earn, Retro, myself, and my wife, and I was just waiting for the crew to get back to meet up with them, hang out at the bar and so on. But yeah, I crushed that 6-pack. Well, I think I only drank 2 of those 6-pack of backpack beers, and I shared the other 4. But Weedle and Grimer and Zorner and yeah, I'm not gonna remember everybody. So anytime I start listing, I need to just start listing 2 or 3 that come to mind and try to spread them around. But Friday night was great, hanging out at the lobby, people opening packs of this and that. Some people do it like filming podcasts and doing shorts and reels, and got to see and talk with Robo Skills for a while. I'd met him way back at Pokemon Saves the World in Vegas 4 years ago. At this point, it's crazy how long this stuff has all been going on. How long I've been back into the hobby. How long I've been full time. But yeah, getting back into the convention, we went around. I met at the convention. I met who did I meet for the first time at the convention? Poke Office was one of them. ZenForce TCG also. ZenForce TCG. He's done some lives. I think the first time I ever heard about him was when he had Retro on. So I watched him do a podcast with Retro a while back. And so yeah, I think ZenForce and Poke Office were the 2 people that I met. Got to see Rainbow Jim, Leah, got to see Maria, got to see, again, tons of people. JR, got to see tons of people at the various homie sections, and got to see Colson and so many people. Cardinal Gaming, Mason, Jake, and crew, Legend of Luke. I'm doing the thing again. I'm starting to name people, and I'm not going to name everyone. But here was lunch. So I went to the convention, walked around, met some people, saw a bunch of people, got to see Goated Pulls. And then I'm not going to eat convention food. I'm here to have a good time. I'm here to hang out. It's better to separate from the chicken fingers and French fries. And it's funny because like we separated from the convention food and ate something that would be kind of like convention foody, but it was salad. This place was called Lil Woody's, and the wife found it. It was a short walk away. Got a little crew together for lunch. Obviously Nick, Mr. and Mrs. Shining Cards and Collectibles, and then Mr. and Mrs. Catch 'em All Collectibles. Little Woodies. They had chicken sandwich, burgers, fries. They had milkshakes, all good kinds of stuff. And this hit the spot. After a night of drinking, my belly usually likes some soda. My belly usually likes some greasy food to soak up all that leftover IPA from the night before. And this did the trick. This hit the spot. Nice little walk, a lot of greasy food, soda, all that good stuff. This gave me an energy bump to be reinvigorated to go back to, oh yeah, the wife got some voodoo donuts right around the corner. She got whatever this thing is, this little voodoo doll donut thing. That was her breakfast the next day. And then, yeah, this is my French onion soup. So this is at Elephant and Castle, I believe it was called. We had like 25 people here. Shout out to Thrifty. She called ahead. She booked it for like 15 people. And then 25 of us showed up or something. So unfortunately, we didn't have everyone at one table. I think there were some of Nick's eBay Live crew, like some of his big buyers from eBay Live. You got to meet them. That was cool. But yeah, we had Pokey Smoke and we had BB. We had Luke Grimer, Peak. We had BB. We had Mason Jake, Luke, like lots of people. I'm probably missing some people. Oh yeah, Young Bambino. Shout out to Young Bambino. Got to meet him for the first time Saturday. Hung out with him. It was me, Young Bambino, and my wife that watched Family Feud a little bit Saturday before we went out to dinner. But yeah, such a great time. Great food. Look at this meal. Lots of IPAs, French onion soup, poutine, and chicken wings. Like, I was just feeling those foods, so I went for them. It was a weird variety thing. I know Nick and Bambino, Peak maybe. I forget who got it, but there was like a flight of different pie things, like shepherd's pie or pot pies. I forget what they were. I think the food was pretty solid at this place, and the food that I had was good. Yeah, shout out to the whole crew that went there. Unfortunately, my wife didn't attend this one. It was a long trip. It was lot of travel, a lot of late nights. She was the DD Thursday night. She ended up turning in a little bit earlier before the late night IPAs, the final dinner, degeneracy, all that stuff. And mind you, so she was the DD Thursday night. I was also drinking Friday night and Saturday night as well. And our flight left at 6 a.m. Sunday. So when a flight leaves at 6 a.m., at least this is my strategy. You don't go to bed. You just don't go to bed. We had to leave for the airport at 4. We had a rental car. We had to return it. After we returned the rental car, we had to hop in a little bus to transfer us because it was like 3/4 of a mile away from the airport. So I told my wife, like, she was setting her alarm for 3:30. I said I will be up at 3:30. I will be up and I will be back I will be there to shower. And yeah, so she turned in after card party, after the Family Feud thing. We went out to this meal, got to talk with Kyle a bunch more, got to talk with everybody at the table. It was a table of 15 people. So like you don't talk with everybody at the table. I was mostly talking with my side. At some point, like, things broke up and we were going to split the bill. And after having had some frustrating bill splitting things in the past, I think on Friday night at this trip, so I went with Retro and Earn, and Retro got the meal, so it was a very easy bill split because he just paid for it. But after having had headaches in the past with splitting bills, Jake and I decided to just put it on both of ours, and then we had everybody Venmo, cash, whatever to me, and then I would just give half back to Jake. And it ended up like I've done that in the past where I've paid on my card because it was just a headache. It was a nightmare to split things 30 ways. They won't split the bills, whatever. Shout out to everybody that went. I'm sure that some people put in too much. I know that some people put in way too much. Some people always not going to put in enough. Tax tip, all the other stuff. But at the end of the day, like, my dinner, I had some IPAs and I had all these things. Mine should have been like 75, and I think Jake's was only like 25 because he wasn't drinking. But it ended up that like we had paid 100 for our 2 dinners, which we should have paid 100. So usually when I've put my card down and people pay me back, it's like I usually pay like $150 when maybe mine should have been 70 or 80 bucks or whatever. Usually mine is like kind of a lot because I get an appetizer, I get things for the table, whatever. But this one ended up being like it averaged out to we got back what we should have gotten, and I was so happy with that when we went from here back to the hotel bar, I bought I don't remember who all I bought a round for, but I bought a round at the bar when I got back to the bar because I felt like if anything, maybe we even got slightly too much. So I'm like, let me buy the first round at the bar again. And yeah, the next night at the bar, well, that night at the bar, Jagerbombs. So the origin of the Jagerbombs were that Cam was at this event, and somehow in our DMs on Instagram, we talk periodically. Somehow in our DMs, and if you haven't yet, go watch his video. I bought this Japanese booster box from him. Let me show you. It's a really cool story. He talks about the story. He talks about what he paid and all that stuff. And we have the original shop at home receipt from the original purchaser back in 2000. February 14th, 2000. This individual bought it for $700. And then you can hear what Cam paid for it. You can hear what I paid for it. But somehow we got talking about like Red Bulls. I think he was traveling to do this deal and he was having Red Bulls to stay awake or whatever. And I just kind of laughed, and I'm like, I haven't had a Red Bull since way back in college when I used to do too many Jagerbombs. So he's like, we are doing a Jagerbomb if and when we cross paths in Seattle. So it ended up happening that Cam and myself and Nick and we had a fourth one there. We did some Jagerbombs. I may or may not have done this Jagerbomb, the first one. And then some people across the bar, Pietro and others, they're like, you just did a Jagerbomb? I'm gonna do a Jagerbomb too. So shout out to Pietro, went over to the other side of the bar and did one with him. Cam bought me this one, and then Pietro bought me the other one. I'm like, I'm gonna do this. Usually I try to stick with the IPAs. I can do IPAs all day. The hard stuff can get me into trouble. Luckily, no trouble was had with this one, but I knew I had to stay up till 3:30 a.m. So I'm like, Jaeger, not the Jaeger portion of it. The Red Bull might be needed. The Red Bull might be needed. It was needed. I slept the whole way home. The first 4-hour flight, I slept the whole way. I don't remember it whatsoever because I was just passed out. It was amazing. But I was not like belligerently drunk or anything. I was having IPAs. I was having Jagerbombs, but at a reasonable pace. I remember all of the whole weekend, which is nice. It is nice to not take it too far that way. And with IPAs, I never do. Almost never do. With the Jagerbombs, though, I didn't go over the edge, which was nice. But got to meet and talk to Garchomp for the first time. Garchomp was like a funny interaction because I actually brought this up to him. I had saw Garchomp at Collecticon, New Jersey. Collecticon, New Jersey, I booked the Heldrich, and I was going to stay at the Heldrich with my family. The Heldrich canceled our reservation months after we made it, like a week before the event. So we moved down. If you want to watch my New Jersey recap, I talk about it there. Going up the hotel at the hotel 10 minutes away from the Heldrich, I was going up the elevator, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's Garchomp. And I didn't say anything because I wasn't 100% sure. I was 99.9% sure, but I'm like, whatever. I was with my family, and it was just Garchomp there, and I'm like, I didn't say anything. And then at this bar Saturday night in Seattle, I'm like, I'm pretty sure that I rode in an elevator with you at the non-recommended hotel in Jersey. And he's like, yes, that was me because I noticed you and you were with your family. So like, I didn't want to say anything. I was surprised that he even knew who I was. And then shout out to Garchomp as if he needs that from this channel. But I didn't realize, and it's funny because I told him this. I didn't realize how open, transparent he was in all his content. I didn't realize that he had all the long form content. I thought that he was just making like vendor POVs mostly. His channel's massive and really good content, like the vendor POV content, very successful. It's just not for me. And he has like really good interviews, podcast type things with his wife and with other people. And I've been like binging some of that backlog. And so go check out all that content if you haven't. I told him I'm a big fan of that content, surprisingly. And now that I've watched some of that content, he's like mentioned me and some of him and some of his guests, and it was pretty wild. I got to meet Uyama as well. Uyama, his podcast co-host. So got to meet Goated Pulls as well. Got to talk to Arvin a little bit. He gave me some flack about my buckets, and man, if you just put it all in Pokemon, you'd be doing so much better. But it was funny to see, like, to some extent, and I've seen him in my live chat before. Just funny to see some of these like massive content creators actually watch some of mine, and I'm watching more of theirs now. And yeah, who was it with? Arvin actually had that very open, honest, transparent podcast where he went on with somebody that was being critical of him, somebody that's pretty mainstream. I forget who that was, but that was a great podcast episode that had Goated on. But yeah, really, really cool to hang out, meet, talk with all those guys that night. Oh yeah, Pokebeard as well. Pokebeard as well, one of the more like mainstream influencers, content creators. Again, he makes like really good content. It's just not generally for me. It's more the market stuff. I listen to the long form stuff, which I now know that Jar Chomp Uyama makes, so I'm consuming more of that. But yeah, got to meet Pokebeard. He's one that like I got to meet Pokebeard, got to see Mimic Brew. Pokebeard was one of the several. Like, if I could go back and say like I wish I had talked to these 30 people for an hour or more each. Not enough hours in the day in the weekend existed, but every event I leave, man, I wish I talked to X, Y, and Z way more. Pokebeard was definitely one of those because I got to talk with him a little bit, and then it just like you get pushed and pulled in every direction. I forget if he had to go or I had to go or whatever it was. You got to go to the bathroom or someone's got to go to the bathroom. And yeah, you just end up not talking for as long as you hope sometimes with certain people. And I remembered seeing certain people like Pokevault was there. I didn't get to say hi to him at all. It just never really worked out. I've been watching like the Trainer Gallery podcast. That's got a Pokepair, and they were there, and I didn't get to say hi to them. But just the way that it goes sometimes. I think that's probably most everything. Oh yeah. Here's the other waterfall. So apparently this is a screenshot of Pokemon Go. So that's why it didn't go into chronological order. But this is the first lookout of the hike that my wife and I did. So we ended up hiking. This is maybe half a mile in. We hiked a mile closer to that tiny waterfall you can see under Kyurem's chin. But I did play some Pokemon Go there. There was a gym here. Scenic outlook. Took some pictures. Took a little rest. There was a lot of vertical, a lot of elevation change on this hike. And so I played a little Pokemon Go. Took a picture of my buddy at the scenery. Oh yeah. This was the return flight. So 3:30 comes, hung out with Cam, hung out with a lot of people, or like too many people to list. But there was a decent little crew that stayed out with me right till 3:30. Nobody else had a flight at 6 a.m. I don't believe. I think there were some with like 7 a.m., 8 a.m. that weren't too late, much later than me. Maybe Grimer actually. Grimer actually. There might have been a person or two that had a flight even earlier than I did. But anyways, we were a little late. We made our flight in Seattle perfectly fine. We got there. We grabbed some McDonald's. I want to say we got through. I got like, what did I get? It was at 4 a.m. But I want to say I got my Egg McMuffin. No, I got snack wraps. Oh, that was at O'Hare. Actually. Anyways, I got to the airport. And we got on the flight in Seattle fine, and then I slept the whole way. I slept 4.5-hour flight, probably drooling and snoring and everywhere. Aisle seat because I have long legs, and my wife, she managed to keep me out of the aisle while the things went up and down apparently. Nobody had to get up to go pee, I guess, because I don't remember being awoken at all for anyone to go pee. But we were the flight was slightly slow, and then in O'Hare, there was some construction going on or whatever. We had to taxi to our gate for like 25-30 minutes. And we had a 20-minute walk, 15-minute walk, I think they called it, in the airport. And we were way at the back of the plane. So like in a perfect world, 1 million people wouldn't stand up right when the plane gets to the gate. But that's how it goes. And we like gained a little ground. We probably gained 4 or 5 rows. We were those annoying people that stood up right when the plane hit the gate. Because we had to go, like we had to hoof it 15 minutes through the airport. And at the time that we connected to the gate, at the time that like first class started deboarding, our plane was set to board in like 2 minutes. And we had a 15-minute walk, and we had 10-15 minutes of the plane like unloading in front of us. Our app did say like, hey, they delayed it a little bit, but we had a girl kitty corner to us in the front. She's like, oh man, I have a connecting flight, blah, blah, blah. And my wife's like, where are you headed to? Syracuse. So she was on the same flight as us. I heard people behind us that were stressing, like, oh man, I gotta go. My thing says that they're boarding in 5 minutes. And so I'm like, okay, I feel better that there's a lot of people with us. Maybe they'll hold the plane. Holding planes is not much of something they do, but they actually did. So it was a United flight to United flight. I want to say there were at least 8 or 10 people on our plane. They pushed the flight like 20 minutes. We ran we ran, bags in tow, all that stuff. Ended up getting there perfectly fine. We in hindsight, we could have walked because they held it for so long. But we ran to get there. We were some of the last to board, but I think everybody, the girl that we were kitty corner with, the people that were behind, I think everybody made it fine. That was stressful though. That was stressful. I've never missed a flight. I never want to start missing flights, but that felt like it could have been the first one. Flying into Syracuse, there's not a lot of options. So we ended up getting to Syracuse in time to like go pick up the kids, pick up the dog from my parents. We got everybody back. It was a school day the next day, so everything went fine. We got the kids to bed at a reasonable time. It was nice, but had we missed the flight, it would not have been nice. It would not have been nice. This is me winning 3. This is a screenshot of me winning 3 showcases at once. I don't know if this was around home or where this was, but anyways, that's there. Card party. I guess I didn't end up using this, but I used just the website. I forgot those were there. And then, oh yeah, it was our anniversary stream. So in a perfect world, I would have been able to fly to PK, Ponga, get everyone there at one place, do some massive thing. But one thing, stay tuned. Future videos. We're over an hour now. I will be using more instant rips moving ahead. And this was instant rips heavy. As you can see, instant rips 1 year anniversary. The vast majority of what we did were $1,000 packs. We did 4K worth of giveaways. We have not built our channel off giveaways, but we do like to give back. The platform gave us some. I threw in a bunch too. Enjoy giving back. And we gave credits. We gave Mega Evolution booster boxes. We gave all kinds of stuff, and it went really well. It was a great stream. Shout out to PK and Ponga for putting together the amazing stream. PK did it from his. Ponga did it from his. I was at Card Party. So we were all over the place. And shout out to Spat and Sky too. They're not really engaging with Fanatics yet. Sky has done a little bit with MetaZoo, but maybe year 2 they'll be more of a part of Fanatics. Maybe not. That remains to be seen. But they're mostly holding down the fort on eBay Live. A lot more videos to come on the first year in hindsight on Fanatics, how that went, how that's kind of pivoting, how that's going. Definitely a lot of changes over the 12 months we've been on there. But I think, yeah, that is number 56 out of 56. I'm gonna go back full screen. If you made it the whole way, I guess I was just talking about the anniversary stream. Give me a give me a slice of cake for the anniversary stream. That went really well. We did though. I guess I'll cover that, but we might as well make it to an hour 10. We had 50 quantity of $1,004 pack rips, instant rips for the anniversary, and they were juiced. They were really juiced. They had a Grey Felt Hat PSA 10. They had a PSA 9 base first edition Alakazam. They had a PSA 10 first edition Holo Dark Charizard from Team Rocket. We sold 13 of the 50. Why did we only sell 15? Why did we not sell out? We did that because in the first 13 packs, Ponga, Hot Hands Ponga, on behalf of the buyers, pulled the Alakazam, pulled I think the Grey Felt Hat, and then pulled the Alakazam as well. So the Charizard, the Alakazam, and the Grey Felt Hat, I believe. He pulled like 60% of the Grails and Chases in 26. So he pulled 60% in less than a quarter of the or about a quarter, just over a quarter of the instant rips. And they went from being 1,004 expected value, 1,004 like average value was the cost, and they went down to like $900, $880 or something average expected value after the 13 were pulled. So yeah, that's the way that it goes when you build a mystery product like that and you have big chases. Overall, EV is average. EV is like on par with what you pay for the big ones. But if they hit the big ones early, people stop buying. And stay tuned though, that might be an upcoming change that they make to Fanatics. They may or may not have some new feature in where if the chase gets hit early and the EV goes negative, maybe they'll replenish. Maybe they'll juice those bad boys back up. So the 150 sold really well though. We had a 6-figure day, which was wild. We had a 6-figure day for the anniversary. A lot of great hits pulled by people. A lot of giveaways. Great time to cap a great year and a great event card party as well. But yeah, that's everything I have for today. Keeping it under an hour and 10 minutes. Appreciate everyone watching as always. Reach out if you want to consign, sell to me, all that good stuff. As always, I appreciate you all watching, and I will catch you all later.